this is side 2 of the taped interview of Mr. and Mrs. Calvin McMurtrey. Joe Cruz had a question I think he was going to ask. Joe?
I was wondering if either one of you could tell about what time did this Antelope school first, when was it first started?
Wasn't it 1916? Used to have it.
When they built the schoolhouse, it was 1916 because
But they had school before
I remember the sign right on the front of it, 1916. They built a 2-room schoolhouse there.
Nice one. But didn't they have a school before
yes.
that?
But remember that this had been thrown open for homestead, and there was people, family, living on maybe ever 80 or 160 acres of land here.
But
So
neither one of you
take
went
those people
to that
all over
school.
the country like
He
that,
did.
and we had a lot of
He
people
did.
here.
He graduated out of the 8th grade from Antelope School.
Okay.
Well, I went to school with over 100 kids over here
Yeah.
myself.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
See, I didn't go to school here. I
Let's
taught-
see, the Mosses were up here.
Yeah.
Hiram T.
Yes.
Moss.
Yeah.
And some of his boys, family.
Elmer
Yeah.
was his brother. He lived right over here.
Johnson's
Elmer
was
did.
another old family.
Yeah.
Bill Johnson family.
And Bill Ricks.
Rix's.
Yeah. And then there was Wheelers, Oscar Wheeler, Etzel Wheeler on this piece over here.
Was there a Hyam? H-I-G-H?
They're in Swan Valley.
Oh, okay, they weren't here.
How about the people that lived on the north side of the river? There were some over there that
There was
that came
Thompson
across.
and Nels Johnson.
The Goals.
Yeah, well, Tommy Go's family. But
They
you're
went,
thinking
they went
of
to
Ira
school. They walked
Spalding.
across the river and went to school over here.
Ellen and Sonny, he used to take them across in a boat and they'd walk up the hill to
They
go
walk
to
up
school. When they closed the church
Doug Road and come over to school over here.
Now,
And then there was some Browns that went to school years ago, and McCulloch's up there, Homestead, but they didn't last very long.
who were the people that you said brought them in a boat over
Ira
to the...
Spalding.
Oh.
Ira married Gladys
That was in
Thompson,
later
Mrs.
years,
Thompson's
see.
daughter.
Well, did they have a ferry type of arrangement here?
No.
There was, to your knowledge, there
They
was
had
never...
a cable over here at one time, yes.
They did have a cable.
Yes.
They had a government cable. They used to bring the mail from Thornton to Heiss. A guy brought it up with team and crossed over a cable and brought it up here at the Antelope post office, and then it was carried on up to Swan Valley. They had a team of horses on this side too. I think Harold Blackburn.
That cable,
one time.
actually, that cable was not anything to do.
It was government.
It was government cable. It was nothing to do, actually, with community.
No,
Forest Service, maybe.
But they
yeah.
did use it, see, naturally
Yeah.
they
I
used it.
see.
to get the mail.
But it was government.
Are the waters in that area, Cal, rather placid, slow, and not too treacherous?
You know,
You
it's
bet they aren't.
There's
the
no
same as
place
any of the
on
rest
this
of it.
lake.
It was the river.
That's wicked. That snake.
A youngster couldn't paddle across there
They could
safely.
in the fall. But
I don't know if these youngsters could do anything. In them days they had to, and they did.
And then Tom Go has told me about coming across on
Yeah.
the cable there
Yeah.
and then walking over
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the school over here.
Yeah.
That would have been quite a walk too, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, that's nothing. Cal and Gladys rode a horse from Black's Canyon, Joe Fisher's place, up here to school every morning. That was rough going in the winter
6 miles
down
over
in
road to
Black
school.
Canyon.
Now where did you live then, Cal?
Down in Fisher. They leased it for 5
Fisher
years.
Ranch up at
Fisher
Black's
Ranch.
Canyon.
Oh, that was
Okay, now, is that Artis Fisher's parents?
Yep.
Right.
Tell me, both of you, one at a time, tell me about that family or the ranch or whatever you can about the Artis Fisher. Of course, we have all read the Children of God by Artis Fisher, and maybe some other, he became a famous author.
He married Cal's older sister, Leona. Didn't know that, did you?
No?
He married 3 times.
Or Eddie's guts.
Oh, well, he's very happy now. Leave him alone down in Hagerman.
Now you're talking about Artis.
Vardis.
Vardis, V-A-R-D-I.
Yeah. And he had
Yeah.
one brother, Vivian, and a sister, Irene.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And
a
I,
lousy
and Martin
bastard
Vivian
book
was a
right back of you
psychiatrist.
there
I
on
wouldn't
that
trust
shelf.
him with my dog.
Where was the ranch from here? How far?
Oh, about 5 miles up the road, and you go down to Doug Road. Have you ever been over there?
it was on
At
the
bottom, it's pretty.
I was always thinking it was on the north side, but it's on the
It's
south
on this
side.
same
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty. A
Is
beautiful
that the
pasture.
place that today Donnell Brown
Yeah,
owns and the controversy over
Cal, no, that's Hayes. We have land that join on to Hayes up there.
Uh-huh.
That used to be Lufkin Bottom, way back. That at one time was government pasture. All the farmers used to put their horses in there when they didn't need them. They leased it from
Well,
the
it was just
state.
government land.
And then Prager came in and bought it.
That's this Lufkin Bottom is upstream yet
Oh,
from
yeah.
where the fishers
Yeah,
were.
not very far. You come up the Doug Road. In fact, some of the Lufkin Bottom joins on to the original Fisher. We've leased it for years. Cal could have bought it if he'd wanted to, but he didn't want to buy it. We own part way down the hill. They keep it locked with 3 keys.
Had the Fisher family homesteaded like so many others
No,
had?
I don't think so. I think Joe bought it. Didn't he, Cal? From somebody?
It seems to me like that he bought somebody's rights out. Now, that fooled me. I bought the dry farm land from the Fishers up there. And I thought the land that I was buying when I bought that would be the homestead land. But it wasn't. It was land that they'd bought from somebody else that I got there, and the homestead was down on the river. I learned that after I bought the land up there.
Was the home site, that is where the dwelling home, was it built up on quite a high place and somewhat back from the river?
Oh, it wasn't high.
No.
It wasn't
No,
particular.
it was right on the river, the homestead.
The home itself.
The home, right, where they lived.
Where they lived, the
wasn't
dwelling.
Right
Yeah.
on the river.
No,
yes.
it wasn't, Cal.
Mary, it was too.
Well, the river was here, and here was the pig pens, and here was the house up that way.
Well, it was right down on the river, just the same.
It was on a little
Right.
flat, in other words,
flat.
on the river.
Yeah, flat. And Joe and old Wardis built a water wheel there to get water up there and have a little electricity put there in the creek down there.
Was it quite a sizable home?
Oh, they had a nice home. That's where Cal's sister married
They
Vardis
built a
down there.
home. They finally built a better home.
Yeah.
Did they?
And then Vardis built one.
I have
After the
pictures.
marriage?
I could show you the pictures of the old ones and
Oh,
the new ones too.
Leona died. She died in Chicago. She got sick and died.
Oh. That was after he had started writing and so on?
No, he was writing articles for he went to the University of Utah, took English, and
He was a professor then.
he wrote for the Literary
Big
Guild,
shot.
a magazine that the University of Utah puts out. He wrote a lot of stories.
Did any of his articles ever appear in say, the Idaho Falls newspapers?
I don't know. He wrote a book called Sonnets to Imaginary Madonna. It was a beautiful booklet. It's dedicated to Cal's sister Leona when he was going to school down there. It's a beautiful book. Well, I don't know what happened to it. I've seen 1 or 2 copies of it.
See, at one time we had a store here.
Oh yeah, post office. And
Oh,
Post
did-
office and
West.
store was right
Who
up here.
operated that?
West, what was his first name, Cal?
Charlie West.
Yeah, that's it. Charlie West had the store. Cal's dad used to take an egg up and get a sack of bulldog.
I've had occasion to do quite a lot of research on Clementsville. Do you people know where
Yeah,
Clementsville
that's
is?
up by Drummond,
I've heard
up in
of it.
that
I
neck
don't
of the
know
woods.
anything.
Clementsville is on the way between Rexburg and Driggs.
Yeah. we've
And
been
you
there.
pass through Clementsville over
Yeah.
the dry farms.
Yes.
And what you've been telling me about Antelope, the settlement of
Yeah.
Antelope,
Yeah.
and the settlement of Clementsville is identical
Yeah.
in the teens.
Mhm.
There was a family on every 80 or every 160.
Yeah.
And they had a school up there called Clementsville School, and they had a store there too, and they had a post
that
office.
Many people, there would be.
Yeah,
Because
they had-
It was that way here.
Yeah.
How
That's why
close
it
was this store to the schoolhouse? How
Well,
close was it?
just, you know where Jollies lived, that house of Jollies?
Mhm.
Well, the store was on this side, right across.
So it was called Antelope Store?
Mm-hmm.
Did
Yeah.
it have a livery stable?
No livery stable.
Was there any
No.
Was there any place where people from further up the country, like Swan Valley, when they came to Idaho Falls, did they stop at some place
They
up
stopped
around
at old
Antelope?
Chris's place down there at
You know
Poplar.
where that tin
Okay.
place is down there?
He
That
used to
tin
shoe
buildings
horses.
is
He used to
still
be a
there.
blacksmith.
Okay.
Ornery old cuss. He
That
couldn't
name
be
was
dead. Old Chris
Christopherson?
Christensen. Chris Christian. George Christensen homesteaded up on Fall Creek.
He did later on.
But old Chris drank a lot and shot horses for $2. He was a hungry cuss. Took him
But the
$2
tin
for a
buildings that
horse
old
to
Chris
be
was
shot.
in is still there.
That's
That's
a
where
Poplar.
Almy and Leona lived. That old brick house that is still standing. Thelma and Almy live in
Yes,
it.
I
It's
got a cousin
enlarged.
that still
Bill
lives there.
Summers bought it. That's Thelma's dad. And that.
What can you tell us about the?
And then
It
they
was
had-
called a halfway house, was it?
No,
Or
it didn't have any name. And then Mrs. Matson had one there by the bridge to turn over, and she was a horrible cook. She kept a cherry pie for months and years. I'm thinking,
well, now where was
Now,
that?
that was Stoffer, Mary.
Yeah. Stoffer.
That's the name
Yeah,
I'm trying to
Stoffer.
think of, and where was that?
Right.
well,
That
you know that White House at Bud,
Wasn't that right in the, what's
Right
called
there.
Poplar community at that
It
time?
was just beyond this tin building we're talking about.
did you know where Glenn Johnson lived? That pretty white house. You come down that lane, and here's the lane here, and you go to Heist. It's right there. That's where her house used to be, Mrs. Stoffer.
Mrs.
Well,
Stoffer.
it's
Uh-huh.
gone now.
Stoffer, maybe.
I think, yeah. And then down farther, I think one of the Jostens had a house, that big two-story frame house on the old road. I think that was a stopping place at one time for travelers, if I remember as a kid.
The Stoffers had a livery stable too.
Did they?
didn't
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes,
I
they
guess
did.
I did, but I can't remember.
So there were 2 or 3 places
Yes.
in the almost the same vicinity
Same
where
vicinity.
people could come, and
Yeah.
it was a kind of they had a little competition going on then, didn't they?
Well,
For
I guess, but I
stairs.
guess they were glad to stop.
They were lucky they could find a place to
Yeah.
stay.
In
Yeah.
that, yeah.
It was, they did pay though, wasn't
Oh,
it?
yeah,
The reason
yes, they paid.
Yes, they paid for
They
it.
paid.
Uh-huh.
One
Mrs.
way or another,
Christensen
they
had
to pay.
a lot of rooms there. She was a good cook, Mrs. Christensen was, down there at Poplar. Well, that old barn is still there with some of the brands and the rings where they used to tie the horses.
But that's where
Almy and Thelma lived.
McMurtrey
Yeah,
lives
Cal's
now.
cousin, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that. Yeah, that's still the barn. They ought to fix
about
it up.
when were these places, these overnight
Oh,
places,
gosh.
established?
I don't know.
In the teens?
Your dad would remember that. I don't know.
Well, I was born, so.
I guess you were.
Do we have any idea about when they ceased being,
Gosh.
kind of
No.
maybe in
About
the
the time the cars started? Or did people with cars still stop there?
I don't know.
No, people with cars didn't die.
I don't,
They didn't stop.
So,
You know,
so
you
just
should
roughly,
remember those
this would
days.
probably be between
kids don't. They don't remember
when
things.
1900 and 1925, somewhere in there, when horses were the main means
Close
of travel.
enough, guess.
Uh-huh.
Who had the first car in Swan Valley? Do you know?
Well,
I just wondered.
I've asked somebody up there, and he
just
said he
wondered.
thought he could remember my grandfather had a car that
Oh.
was pretty early. But
What
he
kind
said
was
that-
it? Do you
said
remember?
Cornel Campbell had one that was
Oh,
pretty early too.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Now we'll ask the same question: Who had the first car in the Antelope
I don't
community?
know. Do you know, Cal? Who had the first car? Was it Clyde Terry?
I believe it was.
He ran down old what was his name?
He
Killed
got
him.
behind.
Bowen. Over the Dug Road. And
Now wait a
Horses.
minute, Mary.
the horses
He
standing.
honked his horn with this car, and somebody in head of him. Who was it? In head of him.
I don't know.
In a buggy with a team of horses, and the horses ran away and killed him.
That was Bowen. Charlie Bowen, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't
Are
born.
you sure?
Yep.
Well, I remember that.
When did you get your first car,
Oh,
Cal? And what model or make was it?
Let's see, it was a Chevrolet. It was, and then I got the old 29, didn't
was
it?
a
It was
four-door
28.
Chevy.
It'd be the 28, wasn't it? Or 27 or 28.
how long did you keep that four-door one?
Well, I went to California that year with the
Was it,
darn
yeah?
thing, and I bought the 29, I know, in California before I left.
It must have been about
So
27
it'd be
because you'd had it 2
it'd be
years.
26 or 7 in there.
Something like
What was a trip like to California?
Oh,
from here
boy.
then in a car?
Had to bring your own
That's-
bedding. They
that's
charge you
something
for
else.
water.
It was worth the struggle.
Crummy.
Did they
Those
have any
places-
motels at all?
The
Oh,
shacks.
no.
Oh, they were
Yeah,
terrible.
no.
And no
You
road.
never
They
had
had
only
planks,
a-
you know, to go through to so you wouldn't lose the trail.
You just followed it out through the sagebrush and everything else with.
Was there any maps?
Oh no.
No road. How'd you know you were
I
on the
paid
highway
more
to
for a gallon of
California?
Well,
water.
they had it where it was warm, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I remember one place I paid more for a gallon of water than you would for a
Yeah.
barrel of gas.
And that, it was quite, that
And
you
I
were on
suppose
cooking.
that the so-called service stations were pretty few and far between, were they not?
They never had any.
Well, you couldn't have gone too far with that old four-door Chevy car without gas.
You had to get it someplace, didn't you?
And Las Vegas.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I drove over going down there.
What? Come on in, Maggie, and sit down.
I drove over. They had built, you got out on the desert there someplace,
That
and
was near.
Come on, sit down.
they had
Planks for you, the
they had
sand.
planked it so
That
you
was
could
near Victorville
drive
out
over
there.
this doggone sand. Well, I went over
What's the name
there
of
to
that
get
town,
there.
Maggie? Begins with B, not Bancroft, but what was it?
Lancaster?
No, it's right on the way.
Brawley,
No,
Bakersfield.
no, that was too far down. You can still see some of those planks in the
Yeah,
sand.
there's still out by Eula.
Yeah, that way. They went clear to California to see him make a movie. Billy Kramer's uncle worked for the movies down there.
We went to get away like kids when we was kids.
He was only
There
19.
wasn't anything he wouldn't tackle.
Had a good time down there.
How long did it take you to get down there?
I don't know.
I can't remember just how long we were getting there. But you just camped along the way with
You had to.
what you had, well, naturally.
Really
Wasn't the sand, wasn't it down there around Blackfoot was quite a bad place on
Oh,
account
yes.
of sand, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know how they
There
got-
wasn't any choice.
I went
It
on the
was that way
train.
all the way.
I rode in Electric. I rode the train to school.
In operating your ranch up here, in particular for culinary and waters for the horses, how did you do this? Did you drill a well or
No.
dig a well?
No, we hauled water with,
And then Antelope Creek.
when we had any 3 or 4 people together, it took one outfit on a water tank all the time to just haul water to those animals we were
Well,
using.
Antelope Creek ran most of the time.
Hell, the water was not fit to drink. They did drink water down here out of this creek that wasn't fit for
But they never got anything
What-
wrong with it.
What was the problem with the water? Was it
Everybody
contaminated?
had,
everybody along the road or along the above you dumped their slop jars and everything else in it.
That
That's what's
awful?
the matter with it.
That's what a creek was used for.
Yeah, wasn't that
Right,
something?
they built their old
Wasn't that
hog
something?
pens and everything, so the hogs and everything could drink and slop in that water.
well,
It was
Weekses did that on Dutchies. They go down there and drink.
filthy.
They do,
That's
yeah.
awful.
Yeah, well, no, it was
That was
necessity.
the handiest
Well,
way to water the hogs, wasn't it?
Yeah. Fisher,
Build
Joe
your
Fisher
corral right
had,
into the-
had
Yeah,
the,
that's what they did. They built it so they could.
but Fisher's had, everybody on this side had springs, but up here on this, we didn't have.
Well,
Rick's
we
has
had
had
good water
springs.
up there. That is, at that
Hard
time we
Parks.
did. We had river water.
Hard
Now
Parks
you
had,
dare take
Yeah.
a drink out of the river.
no, we
Is
used
that
to,
where you got your water then?
We did then up
no,
there.
they went up,
Oh.
Granite. That
we
water
hauled
spout come down from
springs up
Zitlow's.
there. We had springs
You know
up
where
there.
Zitlow's ranch comes
We would
down?
get above the.
Had a nice
Get
spout.
above where they dumped and had everything built into the creek. We'd get above that and haul out of the spring.
That was near the Granite Schoolhouse up there.
We'd have to dip the water in a.
But then they had one trough that they fixed. And
Now,
they put
the
under it.
springs you're talking about, Cal, were they located on your homestead?
Oh
No,
no.
Oh.
No.
Did you have any live water on your homestead?
nope.
Did you develop a well eventually on your homestead?
After we were married 50 years.
Yeah, there's a well right out there in the yard that's 600 feet deep.
$11,000.
And you had to go down that far.
Yeah,
Isn't that
That's right.
terrible? Well, up until that time, then you'd bring your water in from the river.
Hauled
Or,
in with
we used to
tanks,
haul it from
yeah.
the river up at the ranch. Because it was clean then, you didn't have to worry about being
Yes, we could
contaminated.
haul from the river one time and did.
But you know,
What ranch are you talking about you hauled from? You mean the other one?
we went down
where-
in the Fisher Bottom and hauled
Oh,
water.
okay, the one that place that
Do you know that water at Fisher's, that spring water, is thick. It's not good drinking water.
Well,
It's got a
never
funny
was.
taste to it.
It's
I
I
don't
don't know
know.
what you'd call it.
It never freezes.
It's kind of thick stuff. It's thick.
But Hart Parks' place up there has the most beautiful spring.
Never was any good
The
to
railroad
drink.
said you could put it right into your car battery. It was pure water. Hard
They
up
even
there.
dumped. They even
That's
dumped
Glenn
rocks,
Parks'
all the
uncle
rocks,
lived
and
up
dumped
there.
out in that water up there to try to cure it up for
drinking purposes, but it didn't work too good. It helped.
I don't know why. There's all that water, but yet it wasn't good tasting.
Was the wild animal population quite evident when in the days of the homesteading,
No,
in the teens and the 20s?
Had fish.
no.
Had lots of fish.
You had a lot of fish from the river.
There's plenty of fishing.
And ducks.
Yeah. But as far as a deer and elk,
I didn't know what a deer was until I was 20
We
years
got
old.
married, and we started to come
Believe
in.
it or not,
when we were
there wasn't
23.
any deer.
They'd slaughtered them all.
I don't know what happened to
Well,
them. They
look at
wasn't
old-
deer.
Well,
I'll
look
put
at
it that
what
way. There
Joe and
was no
John
deer.
Neville did. See,
Yeah,
John
Barry,
Neville.
that wasn't enough to make any difference.
Yeah, I know, but it was quite a lot.
There was a few elk, but not a lot of elk, and there was no deer. I didn't know what a deer myself was. Like I say, till I was
Well,
20
if you
years
think
old.
the earliest settlers, the trappers, and some of them did a lot of.
I think
kinda
so.
lived
I don't know whether they,
I think
whether
so.
they killed them all off or what happened to them. I never did know.
But do you know at Heiss they had mountain sheep up there? Those heads
Along
that
the
they had.
rocks there.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
all those heads they used to have in the dining room were all gotten locally over there, up Kelly Canyon and up Limekill Canyon, all up and through there as a kid. I remember.
maybe it was because of
I don't know.
bad wintering conditions here
Probably.
or lack of vegetation, winter.
Oh, I don't know.
Winter
Never
food.
did know.
Mhm.
Where'd they
I
get
do
the
know
name
they done one
Antelope?
thing over here when they improved Hicey over there, finally did, that they had a lot of
Mounted
mountains.
heads, yes.
There's a head out there right now that comes from down in that country. They dug a hole over there and buried it all.
Yeah, beautiful.
Put all those mountains down in there
Elk.
and buried them up.
And antelope and mountain
A lot of
sheep.
them in good condition. They were good, yeah.
I don't know.
Very good condition.
But that head was, they used to have an old taxidermist, what was his name? In Idaho Falls. And Miss Gavin told me to go get that head and I could have it. I
Well,
took
she
it up
went
to
and
school.
got this doggone head and dragged it up here. Well, there the damn
I had
thing
it at school, took it up to West Bank. And the kids there had it over to when I taught school, and I didn't want to throw it away. So he shellacked the horns, the poor old thing. He's getting moth-eaten, had to pin his ears back. He's quite a nice looking
Should have
head.
been thrown away 20,
What
50
kind of
years
head
ago.
was that?
Well, it's right out there.
No, I mean, what kind of animal?
It was a deer,
Deer.
buck. But she said, Mary, you just keep that. she couldn't.
Did you say you lived married? Did you live in High
Oh, yes, I grew up there. That's where I learned to swim. I knew everybody from Rexburg and Annis and Manan and Rigby and Thornton.
She
All those
lived down
people
there.
used
There
to
was
come up
people
there
would come up there and spend a week, drove from all over
with
the
their white
country.
top buggies and that.
And they'd
Quite a
drive
few-
up there with buggies and
Well, they
stay
had
for
to
a week.
spend the night someplace because it was quite a long journey.
But the waters were very therapeutic and health
Oh,
waters,
yes.
weren't they?
Oh, Grandpa Heiss discovered that. He came from Germany. And he took a homestead. He owned all that hill there, all that mountain, clear up in there and that.
Now, why do you call him Grandpa? Was that
No, that's what we called him, Grandpa Heiss.
everyone called him Grandpa Heiss?
No, only a few.
Oh.
His name was Richard Kleiner Ernest Herman Reinhard Heiss. That's right.
I can see why they called him Grandpa then.
He ran
What
away.
was his name, Harold?
Can't repeat it.
He didn't want to be in the army, so he ran away from home. He came from a very well-to-do family in Germany. And he was the one, all the Germans used to come to see Grandpa. Old Herm Sluter brought his family up. They came up there. And this Brownswagger, he was called a whiskey and cigar drummer. He used to come and see him years ago, clear from New Mexico. All the Germans converged on, and Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. All the Germans, they found somebody they knew. So naturally, they went up there.
That's how they grew up how it was settled over
But
along
he was
the
such a
little
nice
places over
person. He never spoke German. He tried to teach me to count in German once. Got as far as 3.
Did he do much to improve the facility?
Well,
Modern improvements or something on the
well, in
place?
those days they didn't have modern improvements. He built that building out of logs, and old Tom Walsh helped build it. And old Irishman that came there from Butte, Montana, I guess.
Well, they had to put up their own ice and everything
Oh,
in
yes.
those days.
And
See,
the
they
veranda, the porch, originally.
big
You've
ice
seen
house.
pictures of Heiss.
In fact,
Oh,
I was old enough that I went over there and helped put up ice.
Yeah, they used to put it up there
You
on.
cut it out of the snake.
You know where
Cut
the
it out in the
Hot
eddy
Springs
there.
comes down, they
all
call
the-
the
put it
spring
up.
house. Have you ever been up there as a kid? Well, they had a place in there that froze solid and the ice was clean, and they used to put it up with sawdust and that, and it lasted all summer long. and that.
Had that big ice house
Yeah.
and furnished their own ice.
Yeah.
Yes, they dug it out of the.
Used it in their business then,
Oh, yes.
catering to the
I was
tourists.
old
Yeah.
enough that I was.
Oh, no, they
I
never,
helped
people
put that
never
up.
bought crushed ice in those days.
That's when they had the ferry in those days.
They had the
Yeah,
upper
there
ferry
was-
there, and Smith ran it, and then the lower ferry, Holtz ran it for years and years.
Where was the upper and the lower
Well,
ferry?
Well, let's see. Do you know that road that turns off where they've got that boat landing at Poplar? You go around there. Have you been there? That new boat landing they put in?
Upstream from Heisey?
It's on. He was on this side of the river, and Holtz were on the other side of the river.
You're lost yourself, Mom.
No, I'm not. He had the ferry. Old Smith bought the ferry. I don't know who owned it before that. I should know. And that. And he kept his ferry anchored on this side, and Holt was on the opposite side. So we were on this side of the river.
But they were in about the same location?
Oh, no, he was upstream here. I don't know whether
It's a
you were
couple of miles up or down from each other.
Do you know where the Poplar store used to be? Well, you know, there's a lane goes down that way, and you go past a place called Doc Fisher's. It was up there, up the road a ways from old Doc Fisher's place, and Al Reading's.
But both ferries would be downstream from where Heisey is today?
No,
No?
the upper ferry was upstream,
Oh.
and Holtz was downstream, and that. And then in the winter, they'd put a cable, and the people used to cross the cable.
Well, hell, it'd freeze over.
Yeah,
Woodford Gorge and freeze over.
The waters were pretty turbulent, I
Oh,
suppose. And it was quite a long time before they got a bridge built
Oh,
across.
Yeah.
Mrs. Gavin finally got it. She worked and worked and worked for
I
years.
used to go over
county
there,
commissioners.
them women would go down to Rigby to play cards and everything, and drag them across on the cable there.
And if you flipped it, tip right over. You had to
didn't-
hold on
they
with your
didn't
leg
dare
right in the
walk
middle
on
of
the
it.
ice. They're afraid the ice would break and let them in.
Oh dear.
But they even drove horses,
Yeah, you
sleighs and horses across on that ice.
You
when
have
it
to be
was
careful.
large.
I remember when Jane and George used to log chain the bobs down crossing there by Earl Adams in the winter.
Jane and George?
Weeks.
Weeks?
Yes, I forded Old Red after the mail, 32 below zero weather, and Shep swam. Oh boy, gee, never had a cold. Old
The
Red,
river changed
he wasn't
after
scared at all.
That's when you were
After
teaching?
the gorges
Yeah.
went out, and they
Bring
they
everybody's
quit
mail back
gorging.
and went to Earl. Cliff Buxton had the store there at Irwin. See, it was closer for me to go to Irwin in Swan Valley.
Well, there's no use
And Joe
trying to
Jones,
explain that
he
either.
kept the ferry in, and he'd take a big stick and poke the ice out.
As we
He was like something.
as we come to the conclusion of this
Oh.
tape, and I think we're getting pretty close to the end of this side. Joe, do you have any questions that you would like to present to either Cal or Mary?
Well, I was just wondering about, Mary, you said about you lived with McMurtrey's before you were married, and then you rode your...
No, I lived at Heist and applied for a school. Old Almy Weeks was a clerk of the school board up there at West Bank. And I applied for the school, and I got the job, and I stayed up there during week, and I came down here and spent weekends with Cal's family, and then rode Red up there on Sunday afternoons.
Oh, so you stayed with the Weeks family while you were
No, I
teaching?
had a little cabin.
Oh,
Almy leased it to me for $6 a month.
that was on the south side of the
And I
river,
had to
across
pay
from
for my
Irwin.
wood cold. You gods, it was
What you
cold.
call the
But you
West
probably didn't make more than 50 or
I
60.
got $112
Bank. No, it was a
Did
good
you?
job.
Say that was
for
good.
8 months.
That time, that was a damn good
And
job.
Ann
Yeah,
did
it
the
would be.
janitor work and built the fire, and I taught here 30 kids 2 years. Built the fire and janitor work and got 115 for 8 months out of the year.
No, that was for the whole school season, not by the month.
I got paid for 8 months, and that was it.
There's one reason she got that. It was
I was
because
a
she had
principal.
people pulling for her.
Well, why shouldn't they? I had
Well, I was gonna say
qualifications,
they did.
damn it.
You get a stack. I was
Don't run me down.
at one time.
I was a damn good teacher. I even taught them
I'd
Palmer
get a
method.
stack of
the
letters
spell.
that high that writing in here.
Well, I wasn't a
Teachers
teacher.
writing in here wanting a job. And they wanted a job for even $30-40 a month.
But they furnished me a
Wanted cooks for
teacherage
it.
here
If
and
you can't
furnished
give
me
me that, how
water.
much can you give me? We'll take less.
They furnished me my
So she had
water
a hell of
and
a
a
good job.
little teacherage. I had 2 rooms.
But she had the
furnished it.
people pulling for her, see?
Well, Harv
Really?
Parks would
Well.
had hired me anyway. He
Sure,
liked
that's
me.
what I said. You had some friends.
Harv
along
and I
the
got
line that
along
was
fine.
looking out for Mary and pulling for
Well,
you.
I was on my own up the
And
West
we had
Bank.
the money as far as the districts is concerned. We had the money in the districts. We had plenty of money.
You sure as heck wasn't.
We
It helped me
wasn't
get
short
up
on
the West
money.
Bank.
These
Oh,
district
Leona,
clubs,
Almy's
they had
wife,
money.
you know, was a beautiful musician. Did you ever know
We
Leona?
spent the damn
No, I
stuff.
didn't.
to get
Oh,
rid of
she-
it. We did.
She came from Texas. He was down there as a mess sergeant. What in the hell she fell in love with him for, I'll never know. She was so talented. She never even put her hands in dishwater. He brought her up to sod cabin. You can imagine. No water, no nothing. She didn't know anything.
Now this is Almy.
Yeah.
Who?
They're